Hey, we have
Yeah.
a follow-up question.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're talking about coaching and what it is, and specifically spiritual coaching. And, Jordan is my spiritual coach. And one of the things that I notice about you is there's a lot of intuitive responses that come from you.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, I just want you to expand on that and
Oh, the
explain that to
intuitive.
people. Yeah.
So the intuitive aspect is really an interesting thing. As we talked about, I went through a spiritual emergence and had about, working on balance that intellect with the intuitive aspect. And that's been an ongoing process. And in that personal work that I've gone through, I've been able to come up with some interesting integrations and tidbits and whatever you want to call them that can be applied to life just from my experience itself. So the intuitive source that comes in, we talked about being intuitive source guided, right?
Mm-hmm.
Source guided being, creative energy, source energy, origin of all that is, not a separation. So the first thing is there's not a separation between myself, the client, and energy, the matrix source, whatever you'd like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have an interaction with a person, there's an energy exchange that carries a certain frequency. That frequency, that oscillation, that vibration, which are not all the same thing, they're very specific, which are worth looking into. Basically, that allows for an exchange and a communication beyond language.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can
Yeah.
sit down and have more exchange by breathing together, by making eye contact, by our fields coming together, our individual fields coming together to exchange energy. And there's a frequency, there's an oscillation and a vibration that can be felt.
Yeah.
And then that comes through in a clean container, and words can be reflected back at that oscillation and that frequency to the person. So it seems as if I am reading people's minds or getting things coming from the universe. Belinda, you're muted. But
Yeah. I was going to say that's actually my experience with you. Is it's very high vibe, so there's like a higher frequency going on, and I feel myself right when I just start talking to you, we kind of move into that space, and it feels like this other source kind of gets involved with us, and it's such a really high vibe experience. Matter of fact, I'm just buzzing right now because of just talking about it, but this high vibe experience goes on from you or with us. Not certain where it's coming from, but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Well, that oscillation, that energy exchange can then be translated into words, but they don't start out as words. They start out as the oscillation of energy, a frequency, a field. And by being sensitive, you understand at an energetic level what can be reflected to that person in a way that allows them to see what they want to see beyond, and to hear what they need to hear beyond what the conscious mind is aware of. So we're bypassing the conscious awareness, and we're at an energetic level, both the unconscious and the conscious and the superconscious. So you have the unconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. And when those come together, you're allowing things to bubble up from the unconscious to the consciousness. You're allowing superconsciousness to come into the conscious. And that's just all frequency. And that's coming from a sacred container that's safe, high vibe, and then you reflect that back for the person so that they can deduce their own conclusions. In this strong questioning, a lot of times it's questionings, patterns. You say certain things, I write down patterns, and I say, okay, well, this looks like an underlying interesting thing. What about this? And then things start to shift, come to awareness. And then I always like to say, you realize you have always been the person you've always wanted to be, because underlying all the layers, that is the reason you want to become a certain way is because that's who you already are.
Yeah.
There's just conditioning. There's just conditioning that needs to be dismantled and new things to come in. But the core, that's the core. And that's that mirror of divinity I describe it as. It's just a mirror. And I'm open. I'm always open. I answer questions, and it's not, I don't make the sessions about me at all, but I'm open enough to bring myself into that container in a way that facilitates the growth and a mutual healthy relationship and partnership for the client. And that's where the intuitive, that's how I look at the intuitive aspect from a almost scientific way. All comes down to energy. Basically, it's all about energy and oscillation and frequency and vibration, which are not all the same thing. So worth looking at that again. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm always amazed at where our sessions go. I mean, I have an idea of what I think I'm going to talk to you about, and by the end of the session, we're at a totally different place, but it's a place that always beneficial for me and always aids in my growth. So I love it.
And I can't take credit for that. So that is you doing that. So that's part of the container. And I think that's my approach, is to make it empowering with that reflective mirror approach, to know that it's you doing this. This is you healing and solving and empowering yourself. It's just a strong container to facilitate that. And I think that's one of the most important points we can make with regards to that question. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's perfect.
Wonderful. All right. So that's, thank you so much, Belinda, for that question.
Oh, thank you, Jordan.